I came to North Carolina in 1976 as a VISTA volunteer to work in the state's prison system. So I like to say that one day I was in my mother's kitchen, the next day I was on a prison yard. The contrast seemed to me that abrupt, just as the contrast between growing up in this very Italian household in Pittsburgh and moving into a completely new consciousness and new geography, new language and everything that came to represent North Carolina for me. The transition felt utterly seamless. I fell in love, I think, instantly with North Carolina. My first assignment was Huntersville Prison in North Mecklenburg County, not far from Charlotte at all. A little road camp, a work release camp. It was during my VISTA years, actually during VISTA training, actually the very first day of VISTA training, that I was seated across a table from a young woman from Atlanta, Georgia, named Joan Carey, who took pity on this Yankee and coached me through my first ever serving of grits, because I had heard of them, but I wasn't sure what they were, and I had never eaten them. I ended up marrying that very kind woman who has been my wife now for 35 years. The last job I had had before leaving Pittsburgh in the summer of '76 was as a hod carrier. I carried on my shoulder in a hod bricks and mortar for a brick contractor. The jobs I had before then were busboy, dishwasher, drove a truck for a flower shop, stocking shelves, roofing. The way you got a job, as far as I knew, was that you walked into the foreman's office and asked if there were any openings. And that's what I did one afternoon at Central Piedmont Community College. I walked into the foreman's office, in this case the department chair, as if I were applying for a construction job, and just asked him if he had any vacancies. A fellow named Mitchell Hagler, who stands as one of those legendary touchstones in my life, coached me through how grown-ups with master's degrees in English actually applied for jobs. He gave me an application. He told me there was an entire process. That night or the next night, I don't remember, he called me and told me that between the time that I left his office and the moment of his phone call, a faculty member had to resign, I believe because of some sort of family turmoil, elderly parents, whatever it might have been, and he hired me. And the way my life seems to go, and I don't, and I've come to like the process, I lurched into yet another thing, and in 2 days I was in a classroom, having literally never been in one as a teacher ever before. I believe as John Paul Sartre says, I became a writer by pretending to be a writer. And I feel like in a lot of ways that's the story of my life, and maybe the story of a lot of people's lives. We learn to be parents by pretending to be parents. We learn to be husbands and wives and daughters and sons and sweethearts by pretending to be. So I became a teacher by pretending to be a teacher. I became a writer by pretending to be a writer. Engaging in the practice